'Cause I'm chosen. This ain't love, it's the favor that's on me. I can trust that you'll never leave me lonely. You supply all my needs, I ain't ever hungry.
Hey y'all, welcome back to My Faith, His Favor. That is the official name of the channel. Came up with it the other day and I'm super excited about it. I have been trying to record this video 4 times, y'all. Like, the devil just didn't want nobody to hear this testimony, clearly, because literally the first day I recorded it, only half of the video recorded. The second day I tried to re-record the second half, didn't have enough storage on my phone. Then I cleared some stuff out, tried to record it again, then I didn't have enough storage on my computer to edit it, which is crazy. I've never ran out of storage on my computer. And then tried to delete some stuff and accidentally deleted the actual video. Tried to recover it, all the things, looked at my iCloud, completely gone. So I'm now on my actual Canon camera, just haven't used it in forever. But I did not have the batteries. So I ordered some batteries, y'all, and they were supposed to be here yesterday. And when they came and I opened the box, there were some twinkle lights. So I had to reorder them. Batteries came today. Here we are, finally. So I am going to talk to you guys today about why I walked away from God, like all the things that happened that caused me to walk away, and my come to Jesus moment that prompted me to get back into trying to follow Christ. So I will start off by saying I did not have the best childhood. Without going into too many details, definitely dealt with some physical and sexual abuse, and parts of my childhood I don't even remember. Like talking to my therapist, there's literally like yeah, I don't know what they doing outside. When I say, y'all, they have been quiet all day. It's like 9 o'clock at night and I'm trying to record this, and now they're making all this ruckus. But nevertheless, we are going to get through this tonight, and I'm posting this tonight. But anyway, did not have the best childhood. Physical and sexual abuse. There are long windows of my childhood that I have absolutely no memory of. So working through that in therapy, so that just lets you guys know like the type of trauma that I was dealing with as a child. So that happened. I grew up, met my ex-husband, but met him when I was in 9th grade. High school sweethearts. We dated all throughout my high school career. And you know, I was in love, like completely enamored with this man. I had planned my entire life around him. You know, I wanted to support him in any way that I could. Wanted to support him in any way that I could, you know, and I literally breathed, ate, drank this man every day. And we ended up, he's a year older, but when I graduated, we ended up moving out of town together, got engaged, came back, got married. Within the first year of our marriage, we had our son, who is now 14, and then we had our daughters a year later, twin girls, and they are now 13. We were divorced separated that following year, almost to the T. Our son was born in July of 2010, twins August of 2011, and we had decided to split in July of 2012, July 2012. So, you know, for somebody that I had been with my entire, you know, adult life and my teenage years, I was devastated. I, you know, felt like my world was crumbling. I I could literally feel my heart break. Like there was a literal pain. And I just remember during that time feeling like such a failure, feeling like, what could I have done better? Why was she better? Like, all the things that we as women go through, all the questions. And also, I felt like a failure with God. I'm like, we made this commitment to God, and now what happens? Because I had been taught my entire life that when you get married and you make this commitment to God, like that's it, that's all. Like it's literally till death do you part. Now, I prayed and asked God to fix my marriage. I asked God to help me be able to handle the things that were going on. I asked him to change my husband at the time, all the things, and he did not. So I decided to file for divorce and move back in with my mom. And at that time I was lost. I'm like, what now? What do I do? And also I think I lost a little bit of trust with God, because I'm like, bruh, like why? Like you're capable of fixing it, so why didn't you? Hindsight, I was very young, very selfish. God was definitely not the center of our marriage. There are things that, when I'm thinking about it, like I definitely kind of idolized the relationship and the marriage over God at that time. But in the moment, couldn't see that, right? I'm just like, bruh, what's up? So we split July of 2012. I started hair school February of 2013. And my mom ended up getting diagnosed with cancer not too long after that had happened. And she went in for a normal procedure, went in for hysterectomy, came out, they told her she had stage 3 cancer. At that time I had also gotten into it with my biological father. We did not have a great relationship. He was not that present in my life as a child. And part of my issue with him was that I was going through so much as a child and he was not present. And it was more so like I resented him for not coming to save me, right? Like I was the middle of 7 girls and I felt like I was the only one that he did not care for. Even as an adult, I had a sister that stayed one city, and I love my sisters. Like we have a great relationship. But I had one sister, my oldest sister, she stayed one city over from me. And it would hurt my feelings so much when I would be invited over, after the fact, oh, daddy's over, you want to come? And I'm sure sis, if you're seeing this, it's not towards you at all. Just trying to be honest about what I felt at that moment. But, or if I would see that he was over there, I'm like, dang, like me and my kids, literally you had to pass us to get to her. And you didn't even call, text, smoke signal, nothing. So I remember he called me, or he called my mom and was like, I don't know why she doesn't like me. I haven't done anything to her. I don't know why she doesn't like me. And at that time he was sick. So, I talked to him and I'm like, Daddy, we ain't got to talk about it right now. It's cool. You just focus on getting better and we'll go from there. He did not want to let it go. And I don't know what's up with my eye either right now, but he did not want to let it go. And long story short, the conversation ended with me saying, you only call me when you think you are about to die. Repent to Jesus, not me. And I know that is harsh to say, but that really was my truth. I felt like he only reached out to me when he was sick, and it just wasn't fair to me or my children. So, I called my sisters and I was like, you know, I don't care what's going on with daddy, don't let me know. Like, I'm done trying, I'm done doing all this, because it almost hurt me more with him blaming the relationship or the lack thereof on me. And had he taken any type of accountability and said, you know what, I was dealing with X, Y, and Z, and it just had such a hold on me, I didn't know how to shake it loose, I could have probably forgave him and built something. But not knowing what I went through as a child, and not knowing that I was literally craving my father, and then to come back and, you know, essentially, like I said, blame it on me, that was the last straw for me. So my father and I did not speak. That was the last time we spoke, until the funeral. And also during that 2 years, that was 2 years of us not speaking. During the 2 years, my mother is now battling cancer. And the first round of chemo and radiation, she was a champ, right? Went in, beat it. Cool, my mama was young. She was only 45 when she got diagnosed. I was only 25. So we were both babies. And I just knew she was gonna beat it. You know, I'm like, girl, you got this. She beat it. It came back. She beat it again. And it came back again. And the third time that it came back in the lining of her stomach. And they told us that it was pretty much not curable. So, you know, my mom, I could see it in her eyes that she was tired. I could see it in her eyes that she had lost her fight. And me being her daughter at that time, I'm like, Mama, what do you mean you're not gonna fight? Like, you got grandbabies, you got my brother, you got me, like, you gotta fight. I could not imagine her not wanting to fight, you know, to be here or whatever. And y'all, I could not cry. I could not start crying this early on because we won't get through it. But she, you know, she lost her fight, and that was, we found out that it had come back 2 weeks after my biological father had passed. So my biological father passed May 28th, I think, end of May 2016. I did go up to the hospital to see him to say my goodbyes, but the pain that I felt with my father leaving was more guilt-based. I did feel like, dang, maybe I should have tried harder, maybe I should have forgave him, all those things. But, you know, unfortunately, time is something that we can never get back, and we just didn't have it. And for whatever reason, whatever he was battling, you know, as an adult, I don't know what really went on between my mom and my dad when I was younger to, you know, create this type of dynamic. But, you know, it is what it is. So he had passed, went to the funeral with my sisters, you know, 2 weeks later I found out cancer comes back to my mom, and she this time could not get rid of it. So that was in June of 2016. August of 2016, my brother called me and told me that we were rushing her to the hospital. She was coughing blood, and rushed her to the hospital. By the time I got to the hospital, she had already coded and had been revived or whatever, and was now on life support. So I want to say they said she had been without oxygen to her brain for like 7 or 8 minutes or something, and the likelihood of her coming back to with no damage was very low. I was the oldest child, so that decision to go ahead and stop life-saving efforts was completely up to me. I knew my mom's wishes. She had already told my brother and I what she wanted, but as her child, it was very hard to honor those wishes. But I did. So we, you know, told the doctor, hey, we'll just, you know, she said that if it ever came to this, to just let her go. And I was so distracted with making sure everybody else was okay during that time that I did not really have time to grieve her. And the day of the actual funeral, I don't remember the funeral at all. I remember going, but I don't remember the funeral. I cannot tell you what was said. I cannot tell you who sang songs. I cannot tell you all the kind words. I can't tell you who attended. I don't remember. The only thing I remember from my mom's funeral is when we walked into the church, the casket was open, so we were viewing the body as we walked in. And my son, who was only 5 at the time, when they closed the casket, he flipped out. He flipped out. And then, of course, my twins flipped out right after him. So I remember somebody getting them for me and taking them out. But that is literally all I remember from her funeral. When we finally buried her, that's when I broke. And I remember praying and being like, God, like, I know you needed her. Clearly, I know you needed her, but don't leave me down here by myself. Like, let me be able to handle this. And y'all, like, when I say I felt like I couldn't, I was so depressed. I quit taking care of myself. I was only functioning when I had my children. When they were with their dad, all I did was sleep and eat. Sleep and eat. Sleep and eat. And barely ate. So it was just this constant rotation of like being barely present when my kids were here and just wanting to sleep and just pretend like nothing happened when they weren't. At that time I was dealing with, you know, suicidal thoughts, more so because of the pain. Like I felt like if I wasn't here, the pain would not be here. I couldn't feel the pain if I wasn't here. I never tried to do anything, never really got that far into it, mainly because of my children, you know. And then you know, my church that I was a member of at the time, just how they handled the situation, I felt like it was not the best. So I was dealing with church hurt on top of that. I'm dealing with the fact that I went to God and I'm like, I asked you for something so selfless. I didn't even ask you to save her. I asked you to help me. And for someone who has lived a life full of abandonment and trauma, even with my mom, I love my mom to death, but we did not have the best relationship. There are so many things that she did as a mother that I would never do to my children. There are so many things that she did as a mother that I don't have answers for. And of course, she's not here, so I can't ask her those things. But I still loved her. Still loved her. And she was the absolute best grandmother. Absolute best grandmother. So, I just remember one day praying again and was just like, God, like, how could you? Like, what have I done that is so bad that you are taking everybody from me? Like, what did I do? I ain't done nothing that bad where you taking everybody from me. I have nobody now. The man that I loved is gone. My biological father, who never cared for me like I thought he should have, is now gone. So there's no hope of ever building that relationship. And now the one person who, although I don't agree with everything, she was always there for me. Always. So I'm now left here with nothing. And I'm gonna be blunt and honest with y'all. I cursed God. I was that angry. I was so hurt and disappointed, and I couldn't deny his existence because I felt God before. I've grown up in church. all the things I felt. I caught the Holy Ghost at a very young age, baptized when I was little, all those things. So I couldn't deny his existence, but I felt like he was not who he said he was. And I told him that. I'm like, you not who you say you are. You are supposed to be my father. You are supposed to be the one person I can depend on. And you have let me down again, and in the worst way possible. So if you not gonna help me, then I'm gonna do it myself. I was like, F you, I'm done. Now, that's crazy. If any of y'all are in that type of season where you are questioning whether or not God is there for you, please do not approach him like that, because that was real crazy. I was real bold. But I did, like, and I stood on it. Like, I stood on it, y'all. Like, I quit going to church. I started looking into like African spirituality. I started getting into tarot cards and crystals and pendulums and all those things, and it was working. Y'all, my business was getting better. I was feeling better. My kids were succeeding. I was making more money than I've ever made in my life. Like, I'm out here living, and I'm finally able to breathe again. And, you know, we have to be careful with that type of stuff, because one thing I was never taught in church was that the devil can bless you too. And I mistook a moment of the devil taking advantage of a moment of vulnerability for me as, oh, this must be real. This is the real way. Like, this internal, I am an internal God. You know, God lives within me, and yes, you know, he does live within us, but that is warped and taken out of context when you are talking about like manifestation and spell work and all the things, right? We are powerful. Our words are powerful. Our thoughts are powerful, both good and bad. But it was working. It was working for me. So I had this false sense of contentment at that time in my life. And so it's 2024 now. So towards the end of 2022, I could feel God kind of just tugging on me. Nothing was bad. I had actually just opened like a actual full space, like full salon space slash nutrition hub. So I felt like I was doing great. And I started to feel God tug on me just a little bit. Like, hey, you know, come on back. And I did not listen. So 2023, like, y'all, when I say stuff was hitting me back to back, the lady that I had, I'm not gonna say went into partnership with my business, but she was kind of like a mentor for me. It was struggling. My business was struggling, and I'm like, bro, like, what's happening? Like, I'm doing everything that you're telling me to do, but yet I'm not making no money. And like, I'm not a person that likes to struggle, especially knowing that it's just me. I don't have a backup plan. I don't have anybody to fall back on. Like, it's just me. So I can't fail. I can't not pay my rent. I can't not pay my car note. You know, like, these are things that are not optional for me. I have no safety net. So started struggling in my business, and I'm talking to her, and she's like, you know, I can't wait till you start making the type of sacrifices that you need to make to be able to succeed. And I'm like, girl, have you not seen all the sacrifices that I made? So we get into it about that. You know, I'm not gonna go into full detail about it, but we get into it to where we are no longer talking. I feel like she don't understand nothing that I'm going through, and I'm gonna let her have it. So that happened. Then I met a guy who at the time, like, came in applying pressure. You know, came in, if I had a problem, he was very solution oriented. you know, everything was just like, oh, okay, that's what happened. Oh, well, let's do X, Y, and Z. He was also very creative, an entrepreneur as well, which was also something I was not used to. So we were able to bounce ideas off of each other and like come up with these crazy ways of, you know, crazy business ideas. And I was like intoxicated with that because I had never experienced anybody like that. You know, I was really I've never dated anybody with my type of mindset when it comes to like the entrepreneurial spirit. That being said, that, you know, that ended really, really quick. Really, really quick. And long story short, he ended up going back to his ex, and I was heartbroken. And looking back, you know, I thought I was just expressing my feelings to him, but I slick was begging. And that is not like me. And I just let you know like where I was mentally, right? So that happened. Some other personal things happened that I may discuss later, but some other personal things happened that just kind of really put me in a funk. Like, I really was like, okay, bro, like what's happening? What is going on? We're now in October of last year, and I had started, like I said, God started tugging on me a little bit more. And at that point, I was like, you know what, let me at least like go back to church. Like, let me see what that is about. So I go visit the church that I'm now a member at now, but I go visit for a few Sundays. First Sunday I wanted to join. Very first Sunday, I knew that God was in the room. I knew that he was moving in this church. And I was like, you know what? This is where I need to be. But I also had a little bit of a reservation because I was like, you know, well, I haven't been to church, and I haven't been to church in like 7 years. So of course it's gonna feel good. Of course it's gonna feel good when I go in here. It's gonna feel great because that's what church feels like, you know. But so I decided to just keep going, keep visiting to see if that was really like the true energy in the church. And I ended up joining the Sunday before my 35th birthday. Made it official, joined the church. On my birthday, that was a Sunday. So my birthday was on a Wednesday that day. I was supposed to, or that week. And I was supposed to go out with some friends. We were supposed to go out to, you know, a little bar and have us a few drinks and kind of chill or whatever. And the night before, I texted everybody and canceled. I was alone in my room in complete darkness, crying my eyes out. I had no explanation as to why. There was just an overwhelming sadness that I had, and I hated everything about my life at that time. Like, I hated my body. I hated, what I had allowed myself to go through with that previous situationship. Like, I thought I was stupid and I should have known better. I hated the fact that I had, done so much in those 7 years that I walked away. I hated the fact that, financially I wasn't where I was, that I was failing in my business. I hated the fact that, people would know if I failed, if I didn't succeed. And it's like, people would know. And I felt like I would be like the topic of conversation and all the things, y'all. Like, I was just, every single insecurity that I had ever had in my entire life was just on repeat in my mind. Like, just rolling like a credit on repeat in my mind. All of the trauma that I had been through as a child, the past pains and hurts in my relationships, like all the things. And I just remember sitting there or laying there and feeling like no one would miss me if I left. If I took my life right now, no one would miss me. And the only 3 people that would miss me were so young that they will bounce back. They would get over, because I had also felt like a failure as a mother too. And anybody that knows me personally knows that if you were to ask people that know me to describe me, the first thing they're going to tell you is that I'm a good mother. I pour into my children like nothing else. I try to be the mother that I wish I had. And even with that, I had felt like I had just let them down. And this was so unrealistic. And babies, if y'all are watching this, mommy is completely fine. But in that moment, like the devil was just filling my head with so many lies. I'm just like, oh, you can't afford to keep them in dance. Like, you can't afford to do this for your son. You can't afford to have Christmas this year. You can't afford to get them this dream house that you've been talking about. Like, you put all these big dreams in their head and you cannot help them achieve them. And y'all, all I can say is that I'm so thankful. So thankful that God still protected me in those moments, because I was so low. I was the lowest that I had ever been in my life, and I still could not bring myself to pray. I still could not open my mouth and ask God to help me. I could not plead with him to save me in that moment. I was so ashamed of how I had treated God. I was so mad still at him for not helping and saving me saving my mom when I asked him to. I was confused. I was nervous, because I'm also like he's not gonna, why would he? What have I done to even be deserving of him giving me another chance? What have I done for him to help me now? And I couldn't pray. I could not pray. I like, it literally was like somebody was just holding my mouth shut, and all I could think what I wanted to say, but I was so scared to let it actually come out my mouth. And all I could say is, I am so thankful that God was in the room. I'm so thankful that he still had a hedge of protection around me. Even though I couldn't see it, I couldn't feel it, I didn't even want it sometimes, but he still was there. And that night, I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, you know what it feels like to lose a parent. You cannot do that to your babies, especially voluntarily. You cannot do that to your children. But even with that, y'all, even with how much I loved my babies, I was so scared that was not going to be enough to keep me here. That's how strong of a hold the devil had on me that night, y'all. Like, when I say he would not let me go, and it was like, it was like a tug of war. It was like a tug of war, and I just remember being like, okay, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. If you go to sleep, you'll wake up tomorrow. And all you gotta do is go to sleep every day and wake up. If you go to sleep every night and wake up, you will continue to live. And I've never told anybody like this story, and that's why I canceled my birthday that night. But y'all, when I say he had me, and I had not realized that I had just been playing with fire for 7 years, and I had just been allowing him to take up space in every single crevice of my life, and letting him in. I'm opening the door, letting him in. And when he felt me pulling away, when he felt me trying to go back to God, like, the devil was like, nah, Not you. You mine. And it took every ounce of fight that I had to just close my eyes and go to sleep. I woke up the next day. It was my birthday, 36 or 35. I just turned 36 this year, 35. And I decided then that I was going to take God serious. And that I was going to do my best to trust him again. And I did not know what that looked like. I did not know if he would even take me back. I didn't know if he cared. I didn't know if he loved me still. None of it. But I was willing to just try. And on that day, like I told God, like all I can do is try. I have nothing left in me. I have nothing left. Like, all I can do is try and pray that it is enough. And I did. That was a year ago. Life is so much better. God has worked miracles for me. He is constantly showing up every day in my life and in my children's lives, and I feel him in my day. I feel his hands in my life. Like I feel him making sure pieces are moving how they're supposed to move. So yeah, that is my testimony. That was my come to Jesus moment. And I will be going over like the steps that I took to actually get there, or I'm not there yet, so let me say the steps that I'm taking to actually get there. But I don't want this video to be too long, but I hope that my testimony and my life can help somebody. I hope that listening to this story, if you have felt any way, like if you have felt any of the feelings that I felt, I pray that you know that God is a forgiving God. He is a merciful God. He is a loving God. He is a redemptive God. He is a steady God. He is a providing God. He is all the things, y'all. He is all the things. And sometimes in order for us to truly see and understand his greatness, and sometimes for us to get the lessons that he's trying to teach, he has to let us wander out for a little bit. He has to let us go outside and play. But last year was a moment, you know, when you outside and you're supposed to be in by the time them street lights come on. That was it. That was last year for me. And just know that he is always at home waiting on you. He is always waiting on you. God is the most patient person, for lack of better words, but God is the most patient person ever. We can never take too long, you know, like as long as there's breath in our bodies and we truly make a decision to come back to him, we truly make a decision to surrender, you truly make a decision to start walking with him, I think he'll take you back every time. So I hope this helps somebody. Like I said, this is the 4th time that I am recording it, and I have cried every single time. So yeah, when I say, and these are tears of thankfulness over anything else. These are tears of gratitude and of thankfulness that I'm so undeserving of God loving me how he loved me, but yet he loves me still. And he feels the same way about you. So that's it. I'm gonna end it on that note, and I will post another video next week, and we will talk about, more than likely, the first steps I took into trying to get back into my walk with God. So until next time, be blessed, and I will talk to y'all later.